The Renaissance occurred during the 1400s to the 1600s. It was a time of rebirth in many aspects, including fashion. In the beginning of the Renaissance, it was very similar to the medieval era, with Gothic styles, but transformed into its own type. The Renaissance was also possible because of the influx of new materials and gems from exploration. Clothing became more adorned with new jewels and fabrics to add. Clothing was used as a way for people to show off their wealth and also as an investment. The Renaissance was broken into two parts, the Italian Renaissance and the Northern Renaissance. The fashion was also split during the Renaissance. Clothing in Italy stayed medieval for longer, while clothing in the northern states, Germany in particular, became heavier with more fabrics and exaggerated the body. Men's fashion was very elaborate during the Renaissance. Their outfits had many pieces, including a shirt, doublet, and jerkin, which were types of vests. They often wore boots, but wealthier men wore fancier shoes, and hats were often mandatory in public. This is something a king would wear. Only wealthy people were allowed to wear fur, and their outfits were elaborately embroidered. Wealthy people wore velvet, silk, cotton, and heavy fabrics. A popular technique used in men's Renaissance clothing was called slashing. They slashed the first layer of fabric to show more layers underneath. This was used to show off wealth. Men's outfits started out slender, and throughout the Renaissance they became boxier with padding to make the shoulders appear broader. Monks during the Renaissance also had distinct outfits. They wore robes with multiple layers and a long hood. All men during the Renaissance wore tights, which were called hose, but this outfit is something a lower-class person would wear. Their clothes are made out of uncomfortable, coarse materials. This slide shows shoes men would have worn during the Renaissance. During the early Renaissance, men shaved their beards and cut their hair below their ears. Later in the Renaissance, men cut their hair shorter and grew out their beards. Women's clothing during the Renaissance started out Gothic and simple, but turned very elaborate and big. This dress is something a woman in the early stages of the Renaissance would wear. It is slender and not as puffy. This dress represents the Renaissance in many ways. The fabric is brightly colored and the embroidery is elaborate with gems. The sleeves are also puffy. The front of the dress is a different color. This was common in the Renaissance to show off wealth. The square neckline in this dress was also popular. This dress is made with a velvety fabric, which was very common during the Renaissance. Purple was also a popular color because it was a sign of wealth and royalty. Big, long sleeves were also characteristic of the Renaissance fashion. The headdress worn is called a hennin and was very popular. This dress is something a peasant would wear. The dress is simple and made out of cheap fabric. These dresses would have been worn during the early Renaissance because they were more slender and not as full. These dresses would have been worn in the later stages of the Renaissance because they were very full and puffy. They exaggerated the woman's body. This slide shows different headdresses women would have worn. They were very elaborate and particularly popular in northern states. This neck ruff came out during the Renaissance. It was made popular by Catherine de' Medici, and they got bigger as time went on. They were worn by men and women. Because the Renaissance focused on Old Greek and Italian ideals, hairstyles often resembled Greek ones. Braids were very popular. Women often put pearls or jewels to adorn their hair. These hairstyles were popular in the Italian Renaissance. In the Northern Renaissance, hats and head coverings were more popular.